All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome in. This is Lake Pro Tackle. We are a small tackle shop up in North Texas, in Gainesville, Texas, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff, cool stuff, exclusive stuff as well, rods, reels, tackle. You get free shipping on all orders over $50, and today, this video, guys, we're gonna be going over my top 5 baits for the month of June. A lot of these, again, are gonna be pretty typical baits. You know, you're gonna see a lot of these on people's top 5 lists. And I guarantee you it's going to kind of crisscross between regions. You know, some of you, especially if you're down here in the south, y'all have already been throwing these baits. For those of you who are a little farther north, y'all might start to be getting into the range of these baits here. But typically, you know, here June time in Texas means offshore, good summer bite, and that's kind of what I'm seeing now out on the lake. I was out this past weekend and caught a bunch of fish, caught an absolute gob of fish out deep and around 12 to 15 foot of water, so not quite deep yet, not quite full summer mode. The water temp's still going to be around that mid 70 to mid 80 range, depending on where you are at. Now for me, I caught fish on a lot of these baits here, and I just want to kind of go run down these baits. You know, again, these are pretty typical baits, but I've picked out certain ones that I personally resonate with, really like, and enjoy throwing. I think there's a little niche in every single bait. Every bait, they may look the same, but each one has a different scent, a different action, how it looks in the water, different plastic. So these are going to be my top 5 baits for the month of June. So, you know, starting it off, let's go ahead and get the moving baits out of the way. I actually only have one of them this time, and it's going to be a Strike King 6XD. Now, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Strike King 6XD. This bait here has won tons of money for a lot of the touring pros. You know, KVD helped develop the 6XD and the whole deep cranking strategy behind it. You know, deep cranking is one of those techniques that not a lot of people like to venture to. You know, if you start off fishing a pond, maybe if you don't have a boat quite yet, or if you aren't used to offshore fishing, 6XD might be out of your wheelhouse. And you know, during this time of the year when those bass start moving deeper and deeper, most of them anyway, you know, I say a lot of fish move deeper and deeper, but typically, you know, only around half of those fish, some will stay shallow, some might go deep. So there's a good mix of fish up shallow and deep, but you know, the 6XD has been a staple for many years for people to catch fish offshore. You know, a lot of the times when fish do go offshore, they group up, and having a bait like this, a reaction bait that you can get down there on the bottom or around the bottom, around structure and stuff, this bait here can easily draw them out and entice them into biting. So the 6XD, this here dives around 19 foot, depending on what line size you have it on. Typically for a 6XD, I'm gonna try to have around 15-pound line. I like throwing 12 on it if I can get away with it, if it's a real flat bottom, hard bottom, without trees or stuff like zebra mussels or shell beds. If I am around that stuff, again, I'm probably gonna go around that 15-pound test mark. Now, the 6XD for me hasn't been a real staple. I like fishing offshore, but I like fishing plastics most of the time. But the 6XD has gotten me a lot of bites. Typically, my bites on this are gonna range anywhere from 2+, so I do eliminate a lot of those smaller fish with this bait. And it's a great bait overall. You know, when I go to the 8XD or the 10XD, I kind of get tired out too much. It's just work to throw those bigger baits, but you know, the 6XD is a happy medium for me, gets down around that 19-foot range and can easily catch a whole mess of fish. So that is number 1, and basically my only moving bait for this list. You know, the month of June is gonna be a very post-spawny time for most of the country. I know here, down in the south area of the country, we are almost out of the post-spawn. We should be out of the post-spawn now, and those fish are starting to move around, disperse out on structure and cover and stuff like that. So now, you know, for you states in the middle region, this is gonna be about perfect for you. So first up, we're gonna go to this guy here. Now this is a Santone Jigs football jig. This is the Pro Football Jig, and this color here is Sloppy Joe. Now I chose this color here because it's got some purple, it's got some green pumpkin, it's got some watermelon, it's got like a root beer color in it with green, black, orange, a bunch of different glitter colors. Now this football jig here is in a 1/2 ounce size. This is actually the smallest one they make. And the 1/2 ounce size for me is a great overarching size for just about any water depth. I can throw this 1/2 ounce in less than 10 foot of water. I can throw it all the way out to around 20 to 23 foot of water is typically what I like to throw it in. Now, this bait here, again, I chose this one very specifically. It's got a rattle built into it. Santone makes some very high quality products, and I really like this skirt. So this Sloppy Joe color here, it's got a multicolored skirt, and I feel like a lot of the wackier colors this time of year, especially in June, get bit a whole lot more than just your standard colors. So you're gonna see people out there, you're gonna see, you know, your pros talking about their top 5. You're gonna see influencers talking about their top 5. I'm here to tell you, as someone who works in the tackle industry, off the wall colors like this, where you mix a bunch of colors, glitter and stuff, it's gonna get bit a lot more in this post-spawn time. So this one here, highly recommend it. Definitely check it out. You can find all these baits here at lakeprotackle.com. Now this bait, it's got an amazing head on it. It's a football head. The line tie is gonna be horizontal. I do like horizontal line ties a little more than vertical line ties, just because as your line is traveling, it stays consistent. So with a vertical line tie, your line can be on the bottom of the jig or it can be on the top of the jig, and that affects the action as it moves through cover and structure and stuff like that. So this bait here is great for dragging around points, around flats, or off ledges. I love matching it up with a Strike King Rage Craw. And if the bite's really tough, I'm gonna put on something like a Z Craw or something like that. This one here, awesome bait. Go check it out, guys. lakeprotackle.com. Next up, we're gonna go into some very, very typical baits for almost all times of the year. Let's go ahead and hop into the 2 that are gonna be thrown most of the time throughout the year. And that is gonna be a drop shot. Now, this guy here is going to be the Robo Worm 4.5 inch fat straight tail worm. So the reason I go with the fat worm this time of the year is because it has a bigger profile than just your normal straight worm. And I feel like as the bluegill spawn ends, as everything is done spawning, there's gonna be a couple fish that are just a little bit fatter than the other ones, and that's what the bass are gonna wanna eat. You know, a fish's natural instinct is to go after the biggest meal possible while not expending a lot of energy. So a slow moving drop shot around different areas is going to be a killer all times of the year. Now this bait here, this bait specifically, the color wise is going to be red crawler. It's going to have a morning dawn top, purple laminate in between, and then a kind of green pumpkin-y root beer bottom. So you've got, again, a whole wide range of colors. The fish can easily see it. You can even throw this in a little dingier water. You know, I can throw this in around 1/2 foot of visibility. I typically won't bring the drop shot out in dirtier water than that, but you know, right now in June, waters are gonna be clearing up, the winds are shifting, so right now, water clarity should be very, very clear where you are fishing most of the time. Now, if you're on a river system with current and stuff running through it, it's probably not gonna be that clear, but if you get into a pocket or something where I highly recommend throwing these, you're gonna have a lot of clear water. Guys, if you're enjoying the list so far, leave a like on the video. If you've learned something, definitely leave a like. We definitely enjoy it. And we're also really close to 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube, so if you are enjoying the content, please subscribe. We're gonna do a big giveaway on our social medias for hitting 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So definitely subscribe. We'll notify you when we decide what we're giving away. So number 4 on the list is going to be this stuff here. This is a Shaky Head, and I've got the Owner Ultra Head Shaky Type Twist Lock Keeper Shaky Head heads here. And you know, these have been a staple for me ever since I started fishing. I found that the screw lock on these makes it extremely easy to put on a worm of any sort, make it center, and have a straight worm almost every time. So this one here is gonna be the 3/8 ounce size, and again, we're trying to focus more on that off the bank deal. So you can still drag this around the bank. It's only 3/8 of an ounce, but typically I'm gonna be throwing this in around 10 foot to around 25 foot, even 30 foot almost. You can get it down there. And I actually like throwing these on a spinning setup, a little heavier spinning setup, like a 7'2" medium heavy with a 3,000 size reel that can bring in a lot of line. That's gonna be my typical setup if I'm really fishing shallower and I want to make sure that these fish, you know, a lot of the times the fish this time of year are extremely fast. If I'm finding fish that are super, super fast moving, I'm gonna go to a bait caster around a 7'4" to 7'5" rod, medium heavy to heavy, just depending on how I want to work it through. And for the bait casting setup, I'm gonna be using 15-pound line. Now the bait of choice for this one is going to be the 6th Sense Fishing Products Divine Shaky Worm, and this is gonna be in the 6.3-inch Cosmic Black. Now the Cosmic Black color, again, it's a black worm, so you know, it's just gonna be a silhouette. These fish are gonna see it, they're gonna get interested. It's got a lot of glitter in it. It's got purple, red, gold, a bunch of different colors in there. So this one here is just a staple for me almost all times of the year, especially in the summer, winter, and fall time months. So that is number 4. And finally, it is summertime, so of course we gotta bring out the big worms. You know, the last video I did, I had the Mag 2s. Now it's time for the old monsters. These are 10.5-inch worms. Green pumpkin is just a staple for me. I know I said I like wacky colors. Green pumpkin for me, especially with the 10-inch worm, 10.5-inch worm, because that half-inch makes a difference. It's just a wonderful size to throw out there. I'm gonna be throwing it on like a 1/2-ounce Texas rig. And this is basically as simple as it gets when it comes to fishing. You know, throw these in brush piles, down points, off ledges, anywhere that you're throwing this football jig, it is gonna match up perfectly. So that is my top 5, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little lengthy, I know, and I'm glad you made it through. But leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, definitely keep up with what we're doing on social media, Instagram and Facebook. We do big drops all the time, whether it's a Spro Chad Shad, limited Megabass colors, Zimmer glide baits. We get them in and we want to make sure you know when they come in. So everything is posted on the social media, so go check it out. We'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.